गोपाल वेद वेदांत वेणुगोपाल गान विलोला राजगोपाल गान विलोला राजगोपाल राधा वल्लभ रास विलोला राधा वल्लभ रास विलोला जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद 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 जय जय गोविंद हरे
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Together we'll chant chapter 10, Bhagavad Gita, verses 1 to 10.
अथ दशमोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः यो मामजमनादिं च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं चाभयमेव च अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो यशः भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा मद्भावा मानसा जाताः येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते माम् बुधा भावसमन्विताः मच्चित्ता मद्गतप्राणाः बोधयन्तः परस्परम् कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यम् तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकम् ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते
Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the origin of all. Matta sarvam pravartate. From me, everything evolves, moves forth. Iti matva. All those in the Sanskrit class, can you tell me what matva is? Which grammar form?
One.
Very good. Tvanta. Very good. It's a tvanta. These are avyayas. These are what is English for avyaya. They are indeclinables in Sanskrit grammar. So they stay the same. They are very nice words because they always stay the same, unlike other words in Sanskrit. So iti matva, thinking like this. Bhajante mam, they worship me. Buddha, Buddhaha, the wise people. Bhava samanvitaha, those with devotion. Full of that bhavana, that feeling towards. So I am the origin. From me, everything. Out of me, everything evolves. Those who understand, seems like, okay, everything comes from God. Everything happens because of God. You don't get it. So those who understand, can you give me an example of a person who understands this?
Self-realized person.
Okay, you can say that. Give me an example of a person who you have studied or whatever.
Jesus.
Okay, very good. Give me another example. Somebody who studied at least. I think many of you have studied.
Jnaneshwar.
Huh?
Sage Jnaneshwar.
I can't hear you, Madan.
Jnaneshwar.
Adi Shankaracharya.
Okay, Adi Shankaracharya.
Ramana Maharshi.
Okay,
Ramatirtha.
okay.
Jnaneshwar, he was saying.
Who was saying?
Milind.
Oh, okay. Buddha. Okay, you all are giving examples of realized souls, which is fine, which is of course correct. But to drive home this idea, the best example you can think of is our
Krishna.
Baba Ante,
Huh?
Swamiji.
Krishna.
Baba Ante.
Okay, Baba Ante, all right. Yes, that's a
Swamiji. Swamiji.
Swamiji. Bharat, I didn't hear what you said if you said something.
Yes, Swamiji.
Swamiji, okay.
Yourself. Janki ji.
Oh, like that, yes. I thought you're talking about the self. Okay. Well, we don't know about all that, but one person we know for certain, because he's described like that, is we studied him. Many of you have studied him. Now I don't know how many of you, but
J.R.D. Tata.
Deepa, did you study J.R.D. Tata?
Oh no.
But yes, J.R.D. would probably be an example. The best example, and if you don't know about this person, then you please go and read it.
Can we say Kabir da? Sant Kabir?
I can't hear you, Tinky.
Sant Kabir. Sant Kabir.
Okay. Fine, all of these are right.
I think it's Arjun you're talking. Are you talking about Arjun?
No, not at all. The great person, remember his name and do mantra jap on his name. If only we can be like that. Abu Ben Adam, may his tribe increase. Awoke one night from a deep dream of peace. One night, he got up at night and he saw an angel writing in a book of gold. What writest thou? And the angel said, those of the names of those who love the Lord. And Abu asked, is mine one? Nay, not so. No, it's not. Then write me as one who loves his fellow men, he said. Write me as one who loves his fellow men. The angel wrote and vanished. And the next night she came again and showed the names of those whom the love of God had blessed. And lo, Ben Adam's name led all the rest. They all claimed this great love for God. Forget your love of God, Baba. First you love humans who you can see. Then you worry about loving the God which you cannot see. But we are all very happy to love the God who we cannot see. Why? Because we can pray to him and he will give us whatever we want. Because I don't know how we look upon God as if some kind of, somebody like you, just keep flattering him and then he gives you whatever you want. Like some kind of elevated Santa Claus. You really understand. Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the origin of all. From me, everything evolves. We're talking of the all-pervasive nature of the Lord, the eternal nature of the Lord, the presence of the Lord. If you see anything at all you know is that here, my Lord pravartate, here he has evolved. Now, what are you talking about? I don't like this and I don't like that. So, understanding the pervasiveness, the eternity of God means that you love the entire creation. You don't make a division. This part I like and that part I don't like. Whether it is an object. I like gulab jamun. I don't like karela. Or the other way around. Depending on whether you're a health freak or not. Either way. Or people. I like all my Vedanta class people. I don't like anyone else. I like spiritual people. I don't like all these materialistic people. Or it is the fruits of our actions. Sometimes we get good fruits, sometimes we get bad fruits. Do we hate? Do we deny? Sometimes you can do so much good to somebody and it all comes to naught. Just imagine if you were looking after a patient, doing everything for that patient, trying your best to make this patient do well, and the patient passes away. It's not a pleasant thing, but does it remind you of the Lord? Does it remind you of the fact that it's my job to do what I can do? Or what is best for anyone is the Lord's job to decide, not my job. What will happen is the sum total of all causes. The inherent ego in saying, I did this, and therefore that should happen, is to see yourself as a karta dharta, to see yourself as the main person that makes everything happen. There's so much inherent ego in that. I did it, so this should happen. I did it, so you should appreciate it. I did it, so it should give good fruit. I did it. Are you not able to see that from the Lord everything comes? He is the origin and from Him it all evolves. Where did you come into the picture? So a person who understands the all-pervasive nature of the Lord has the singular characteristic of
Oneness with humanity.
Universal love.
Can you all hear me? Because I can't really hear you.
Yes, Janki ji, we can hear.
Oh, okay. What did you say, Bharat?
Oneness for humanity.
Is have universal love. If you understand God, you have universal love. It is that simple. Bhava samanvitaha is endowed with devotion. What else does he have? Mam bhajante. Bhajante means to worship. What does worship mean? Worship means to pursue. If you understand that the most important thing in your life is the Lord, then why would you pursue anything else? Isn't it? So if we pursue something else, what does it mean? I have not understood. That doesn't mean I stop doing whatever I want to do and then I pursue the Lord. You don't do anything silly like that. But you just understand your own level. You understand where you are where you yourself are coming from. Not able to understand what is reality, what is fiction. Not able to understand what is important, what is unimportant. Do I need? What will support me in all my endeavors? Do I not understand that the truth is the most important thing? Everything else is a matter of what is Ayaram, Gayaram? It will come, it will go. The only thing that lasts is reality. And if I choose to pursue something other than reality, I know already that it will not last. Because it's not real. How can it last? It's not complicated. But we don't want to start thinking like this because it's frightening to the mind. It says, oh my God, you're taking something away from me. No, the mind doesn't understand that it's going to get something, it's not going to lose something. But it frightens us. Oh, you're taking my enjoyments away. Oh, you're taking this away. You're taking that away. Your enjoyments will be greater by far than you have ever dreamed. Your success will be greater by far than what you have ever dreamed. And the way to get it is chhod do. I said something. But you can't leave something, it's not possible. So you take up the important things, and the non-essentials will follow you. The great Ramatirtha says, walk towards the sun, your shadow will follow you. The shadows will follow you. What are you running after the shadows for? You run after the shadows, they'll run away from you. That's what they say. They say that, Lakshmi, if you run after Lakshmi, she will run away because she's a very virtuous wife. But if you go and serve Vishnu, then Lakshmi will follow you. So see something unifying. It may not be easy for us to remember the Lord. See, in the class we'll say, yes, we should think of the Lord. Then at 11:30 we've forgotten all about the Lord. Khana banana hai, khana khana hai, brunch karna hai, whatever goes on. Lord to gaya. So have something which you can remember at all times. Anything bigger, anything vaster, anything more unifying. Now, what are these things which are more unifying? The pursuit of self-realization is the highest. Using every experience for self-development is the next one, lower one. Living a life of service is lower. I mean, in gradation. So you have to take whatever works for you. Having a pervasive goal, even lower. But whatever works, do it. Don't worry about I'm low, I'm high. Just take the next step. All this is immaterial. How high I am, how low I am, how good I am, how bad I am. This is the mind wasting time. Does it matter how good or bad we are? Does it matter how smart or dumb we are? Does it matter how evolved or not evolved we are? Only one thing matters. Are you going to take the next step or not? Are you going to sit there and say, oh, I'm so good, or I'm so bad? Isn't that what they say? Even if you're on the right road and you just sit there, you'll get run over. So you're on the right road. You've taken up to Vedantic studies. Now you're going to sit there or you're going to do something? That doing something is called, I hope you all are with me, that doing something is called
Worship.
Very good, Reshma. I am so glad to hear you say that. You have no idea how thrilling the moment is when you actually hear the class know what you're talking about. It's wonderful. But wonderful or otherwise, it is as divine as everything else. So, if you understand line 1, you do the 2 lines below. If you understand Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, I am the origin of everything. Matta Sarvam Pravartate, from me everything evolves. Then what happens? Iti Matva, having thought this, having understood this being your opinion. This is your belief, this is your opinion, this is your understanding. Then what happens? Bhajante Mam, you worship them. Because how can you not? Once you understood that something is the most important thing, then why would you not go there? Samanvitaha, with complete devotion. So what happens? 2 things happen. Number 1, your actions are such that take you towards self-realization. Number 2, your emotions are such that they see a oneness. You don't automatically think this one is good and that one is bad. Because when we say this one is good and that one is bad, at the bottom of this thing, okay, my judgment that so-and-so is good and so is bad, at the bottom of that judgment, what lies? You know what lies at the bottom of that judgment?
Ego.
Okay, so in what way can you explain?
A sense of otherness, a separation.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Desire.
Hmm?
Okay.
Sorry, somebody was saying, Shamansh was saying something?
Desire, like beneath that lies desire.
It's at the bottom of it only lies that, like Ashia has explained. You have to also explain. They are catering to my desires or not. Very good, Ashia. My belief that you are good or bad. Why does a teacher love all the students? You ever thought for a teacher, what happens? Their students are the best and the greatest. And they say, my heart leaps up when you see your student's face. Of course, my students never show me their face. That's a sad thing. But but why? Desires are being catered. You love your child. Why? Desires are being catered. And that same, I knew a teacher, very, very sad it is. It's really very sad because you can just completely understand this. There was a teacher, and like all teachers, loved his students. And then one of the students one day went and gave this teacher up and went to another teacher. The first teacher was so disappointed because he really thought this person had got potential and he would do well and this and that in that subject. And he was so disappointed, so hurt, and almost at the point of, not almost, sort of indicating very negative things about that student. Now, why was he saying all these negative things? It will always be proportional to how much the desire for it was. So when I say something negative about someone, am I really talking about the other person? Who really am I talking about?
Myself.
Only myself. When I say Reshma is such a wonderful person, what am I saying?
She's wonderful because she does what I want.
Say, Reshma, she's so horrible. Then why am I saying that?
Because she's not doing what you want.
So simple, no? And yet we give these thoughts of ours so much importance, as if it even counts. And sometimes we have even stupider questions. We say, that man, he's so bad. But bad things are not happening to him. Okay, but how did you decide he was bad? If bad, let God decide, okay? You don't come into the picture. But why is he's such a good man and still bad things are happening to him? He's such a good man. You call him a good man because
Catering to my desires.
catering to my desire. Who on earth are we to declare who is good and who is bad? Isn't it arrogance on our part that I know how causation should work better than causation itself? Sabke sab pagal hai. What do you do? And the inherent ego of it is never noticed in all these wonderful statements that we make. So if you genuinely think the Lord is more important than you, then your reaction, your mental thing towards that, your emotional reaction to that is
Love.
Is universal affection. Otherwise, that person is good, that person is bad, that person is spiritual, that person is not spiritual. Who am I to make all these judgments? Matta sarvam pravartate. From me, everything evolves. There is something greater, something vaster, something bigger than me. And the more I recognize that, the better. Or you can do it the other way around. I am bigger than all this stuff because from me, everything evolves. And look at it either side, you'll be right. Uttara, you have a question? If you're saying something, I can't hear you. I can see you're not muted, but I can't hear you anyway. Why don't you write your question in the chat box?
Janki ji, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So which desire was being catered to of the teacher in the earlier example?
Oh, Bharat, one day you will have learned Vedanta so well, you will be a teacher. You will see that the highest pleasure is to communicate. And it is one of the worst things to get involved with. Can you just imagine your whole happiness is dependent on whether somebody understands something or not? Puri pagalpanti hai. If they don't understand, you can't sleep. They don't understand, let them not sleep. Why should I not sleep because you don't understand? But then why do all teachers fall for it? Most universally, teachers fall for this. It's a pleasure to feel that there is a sense of understanding, a communication, that kind of oneness. Why do you ever want oneness? Because you want a reciprocal oneness. Okay, we are not ever happy with us loving somebody, right? Suppose somebody loves somebody. Say, oh, you should be very happy you love this person. No, but he doesn't love me. So we're not ever happy unless it's reciprocal.
Janki ji, in the Upanishads, they always say the
One second,
Guru-
Pinky, let's just finish with Bharat and then we'll come to you. Okay.
Okay.
So, so it's one of the subtler pleasures. I mean, as you evolve, your chances for falling for lower things become less and less. And you know fewer and fewer evolved persons, right? Of your level. So your tendency becomes to say, I'm so much better than everybody. Because you can see that you are, obviously. But you don't see where you're getting involved. Like this teacher, yoga teacher in this case. But he's completely enamored by whether students are dedicated to yoga or not. It's a very frightening thing, and he would never know why he's being troubled. He could say of himself, I'm such a good soul. I am so dedicated to my students, which he is. I have served them so much, which he has. And yet, these people are so bad. They treat me so badly. No good being good in this world. We don't know where we are making it.
So can we say that the starting point itself was perhaps self-centered?
No, you can get involved in service, no? Why is it that people who are doing social work, we don't call them karma yogis? They are very dedicated to whatever they're doing. There's no doubt about it. But because there is no, they are genuinely unselfish, service-oriented people. But because there is no vision of something higher than what they are doing, they're totally enmeshed. And that causes their type of problems. At every level, it's not like we are going to grow up and then our problems disappear. At every level, you're going to find more and more problems, and they're going to be more and more difficult to to know. See, suppose your original problem is I can't do exercise with it, right? Then it's very obvious. You see it and everybody else sees it that you're not doing your exercise there. Then you discipline yourself and you do your exercises every day. Right? Now you can see your discipline and everybody else can also see. But from here onwards, it's going to become very obscure. At what stage are you doing exercises as an end in itself? At what stage are you doing it? I mean, like, what's your reason for doing it? Are you doing it for realization? Are you doing it for service? What are you doing it for? So at every stage you can get involved. It's not like, you cross one and then you're good to go. It's a tricky journey, a dangerous journey, and nobody said that you would even know what's going on here. Somebody higher than you will be able to see it, but they will not be able to tell you. That is why when the teacher fires you, you actually feel grateful because you get fired only when you're stuck. Otherwise, there's no cause to get fired, right? I mean, unless the teacher is involved, that's a different thing. But when a guru fires you, in the academy, it was like Prasad Mila, because you got beaten up for something. In spite of the teacher not being angry with you. I'm talking about those kind of teachers.
So red flags to watch out for.
Sorry?
Red flags to watch out for.
Eyes always on the goal. You don't look for errors. You do the right thing. But of course, the obvious error is where you get agitated, there's a desire there. But whether that desire is a justified one. Justified, I don't mean that any desire is justified, but at my level, this is bound to happen. Okay, so take it easy. Don't get all worked up about that. But we see, so let's say you're doing your exercises and then something's agitating you. You have to see where you're stuck. Or you're doing your service and something's agitating you. Bharat, you're doing so much service and all these people are sitting on your head and behaving like, Bharat, why are you not doing this? Bharat, why are you not doing that? And poor Bharat, like as a volunteer worker, everybody talks to him almost like as if he has to do it. He doesn't have to do it. He can dump the whole thing any day he likes. So people take it for granted. Not everybody, of course. Many people are grateful and understand how much contribution he makes, but some people, they take it for granted and say, Bharat, do this, Bharat, do that. Then you do know. Why are you telling me to do it? Maybe you can turn around and say that. And then slowly you cross your irritations. Okay, and then this level doesn't bother you anymore. And then this level doesn't bother you. And then this level doesn't bother you. Wherever it bothers you, know that we have to grow.
Okay, thank you.
Janki, the question furthering to the yoga example, can this be classified as benevolent ego?
Yes.
Because that's actually really a very scary place to be in. And again,
I mean, almost 99.9% of people who reach that level fall for it. 99% don't reach that level. But of those who reach that level, the vast majority fall for it.
But then, Janki, with so much sadhana, how is it that a person falls for it? Then what is the thing that really you can, kind of not get into that trap?
Remember your goal in all things.
But Janki, they would have also been remembering their goal, right?
No, you can't get involved if you can't get involved if you remember your goal. These two are diametrically opposite. They are the two ends. You start getting involved when you forget what you're doing it for. These are involvement means the mind is playing. Remembering your goal means intellect is playing. These two are diametrically opposite.
So can you reach that stage so high up?
There's no so high up. At every stage you have to do it. That is the nice thing about Vedanta, that the principles don't change. The same thing through the whole journey all the way to realization. Principle will stay just the same. Are you getting involved and are you staying objective? But where it is being applied at every stage will differ. You, in the last stage, the most frightening thing is, not that I mean to frighten you, Aditi, but the most frightening thing is at the last stage, okay, now you have only one desire for realization. You have no other desire. You can get involved and never realize. There's a story, of Buddha. There was a disciple of Buddha's. The story goes that he did everything to realize the self. Like he left no stone unturned. But he never realized. And the story goes that having done everything, he was the best student. He was a perfect student. He did everything that he was supposed to do. And then he decided that this is all rubbish, okay? Everything that I'm supposed to do, I have done. And I've not realized there's no such thing as enlightenment. There's no such thing as moksha. So he called all his students because he's on the verge of enlightenment, right? So he called all his students and he told them, and the story goes, he was sitting like this. He was lying down like this. But I've called you all to tell you that I made a mistake. There's no such thing as moksha. And the moment he said that, he realizes. Because he dropped that last desire. So involvement is there at every stage of the journey. You'll be in meditation and get involved. Real meditation, not the fake one that people do, but the real one.
That is why Vishwamitra Menaka stuck in my head, that it can happen at any time.
Please don't mention that, Varsha. You know the consequences, right? So, there is our Omkar. Okay. So the thing is, the rest of you all probably don't know, but it's a long-standing joke in this class. But anyway, the thing is that involvement is a danger that is ever present on the journey and will be present till you realize the self. So you cannot afford to lose your intellectual governance. I mean, the same thing that you learned on day one is what you will do till the last day. That is why Vedanta is so universal. You could be at any stage of the journey, the same thing applies. Only thing, the way it applies will differ. Okay, so now who else had Uttara? Tinky, I'm just coming to you. You're okay, right, Aditi? Uttara. Can we also not judge terrorists, which is very obviously against mankind at large? Uttara, it is not about seeking permission to judge or not to judge. The concept should be clear. That is it for me to decide what other people should do or not do? Is this my responsibility? Is it anything to do with me? It is my responsibility to decide what I should do. What the terrorist does is his business. What I do is my business. So I do what according to me is right. So what according to me is right? That I may need to jail the terrorist maybe, or maybe shoot at the terrorist, whatever according to you is right. But to sit at home and not have any role to play and just sit and hate the terrorist, what are we getting by that? Why should you hate anyone? If I am not supposed to do anything about it, so, or if I have chosen not to do anything about it, then what am I hating him for? Which is very obviously against mankind at large. We are all against mankind at large. Because the only person who is for mankind at large or humankind at large is a self-realized soul. As we have often heard. My father used to always say, make yourself an honest man, and you can be assured that there is one less scoundrel in this world. Okay, so if we don't become an honest person doesn't mean, oh, I don't give bribes and I don't. Honest person means self-realized person. Because who is honest? Someone who understands the truth. If you don't know the truth, how are you going to be honest about it? So we are all against mankind. To the extent that we have not unfolded the self, we're all against. It's only a matter of degree. None of us can, what Christ said, let him throw the first stone who has never erred. Can't take the stance, Uttara, because A, it is illogical, and B, what is the use of my hating people? How is it helping the situation? So it's not about should we not judge a terrorist. It is what's the point? If you have an action to take, if you are Prime Minister and you need to take action, you take action. If you are a citizen who is sort of, some problems are generated because of that and you decide to take action about it, well, take action. What's the use of hating? Where is that taking us? Momita, if I love you, what business is it of yours? Go ahead. Okay. Then who else? Tinky. Tinky? It's a nice quote, Momita.
Yes, Janki ji, actually this was in reference to what Bharat was asking about. No, I think what you had said about, how happy the guru is when the shishya understands what is being, imparted, the higher knowledge, the concept. In the Upanishads, they always say that they are very crypt and short, and if you're an adhikari, you get it. If you don't get it, go back and keep on thinking and reflecting on it. So that is, of course, I think those are the self-realized masters. So, I mean, when you talk about a guru, everybody who teaches, if I'm teaching in school or I'm doing training, in a way, I'm a guru, but not a spiritual guru. So when you talk about the guru, so in what context is that word guru used? Is
Any
it about
teacher, if you have any experience with teaching, you will know that if the student does well, if the student has understood, you're thrilled. It's a subtle pleasure. You're just very thrilled about it, which is fine. I mean, there's no reason for you to be unhappy about it, but you don't get involved in all the pleasures that you get.
So as
every teacher will experience it.
Yeah. So
every
suppose
teacher who is wanting to teach, not a person who is going to school or college to get some salary at the end. But most teachers are pretty dedicated to their jobs.
So if I was, suppose I'm teaching and I've not attended Bhagavad Gita, I'm not aware about all this selfless and the higher thoughts. And I do then start attending, then I continue to be a teacher. Will that involvement in the, how much the children learn, or will not that get little less?
Or I mean, involvement or not involvement is a matter of whether your mind is engaged or your intellect is engaged. When your mind is engaged in that,
it's involved.
Then you're involved, because you can't see anything else. You're obsessed. My children, my children, my children. Oh, my joy is only my children. I haven't heard teachers talking like that. And then if your intellect is engaged, then of course it is a joy for you too, but you're able to see a wider perspective on this. A mother also does the same thing, right? This child studies, the mother is delighted, the child does well, mother is delighted. How does Aditi feel when her daughter comes first in swimming championships? She's delighted how much effort she'll put in to make her daughter, how much sacrifice she puts in. 4 o'clock in the morning, she has to get up and do all sorts of things for her child, and then child comes first. I'm just thrilled. The question is now, are you completely involved in that? And since your mind can only see that now, or your intellect is holding suzerainty still? You're awareing it. You know the emotion. You understand its placement in the total scheme of things. Same thing happens even for service. You suppose somebody is into cleanliness, for instance, or into saving the environment. Out of context, they will bring these things up. That means they're involved. They don't know its applicability in a particular situation because they can see only that. They can't see the big picture.
Janki ji, is this got to do with one example you had given long time back, that if you eat the laddu, you enjoy the laddu, but then after that just you don't have to keep on and on thinking about it. Does it correlate to what you're trying to explain?
Yes, except that only says don't think about it, but doesn't tell you how not to think about it. When you see the whole picture, you will not start thinking of the bits and pieces.
Mhm.
You're able to see an overall perspective on things, which
Got
is
it.
your intellect is engaged.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so verse clear. When the intellect finds identity with the self, the mind plunges into devotion. The action is the pursuit. Okay, clear, right? Okay. Verse 9. Machita madgata pranaha bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha Machita madgata pranaha bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. Though he indicated it in the last verse, this verse actually gives the comprehensive sadhana. Mat chitta, madgata pranaha. There is pranaha, the visarga has been dropped because of the sandhi rule. Mat chitta, the mind in me, or in this case, mat chittaha, the minds in me. He's talking about the sadhana. So the mat chitta, whose minds are in me. That means the mind has surrendered, is resting upon the self. What does that mean really? It means that that's what you want. It's quite simple. It's just that's what you want. Some people want to know the truth. Some people want to know the reality. They want to know God. It's a desire. Unless you have that desire, you will not even approach the subject. Now, that's not completely true because you can have other desires and then approach the subject. But for a sadhak, that's what he wants. And that's the beginning point. You can't tell somebody to come to the spiritual path. Just like you can't tell somebody to go on money. Either he wishes to do it or he doesn't wish to do it. You can't tell him go be a doctor. Either he wishes to be or he doesn't wish to be. Similarly, coming to the spiritual path is, genuinely coming to the path, not using God for our own purposes, but genuinely coming to the path means I want to know. I want to know the truth. I want to know the reality. I want to understand what is divinity. I want to understand where did this world come from? Why is it even there? I want to know these things. I want to understand what is that. Why the expanse? I look up and see the stars and all that. Where does it come from? Why is it there? I want to know this. And only if you do want to know it will the next step come. Otherwise, there's no next step. So the starting point of the sadhana is mat chitta. The mind is resting in the Lord. That means that's what the mind wants. Mat kata prana. Pranaha means all of life's activities. You remember you studied the 5 pranas, all the activities, the physiological activities. They are your senses and your physiological aspects of your senses and of the senses, of perception and action. All of this, what are you doing it for? Why did you go see whatever you went to see? Why did you go hear whatever you went to hear? Why did you do whatever you did? Is it based on that desire? Why did you do a startup? Is it based on the desire to reach self? Is that what is at the bottom of it? Why did you go cook a meal? Why did you do anything you did? Why did you take up legal practice? Why are you doing this? Why are you working for the university to come up? What are you doing it for? Why are you working for the 1-month course to start? Why are you doing it? We have to ask ourselves at all times, what's the point? What's the purpose? Okay, we'll start a 1-month course. Say, no, but, Vedanta should be learned in a residential manner. So we should start a 1-month course. So yeah, okay, we'll start it in May, we'll do it. But, and then we fixed everything, you fixed the venue, you fixed this, you fixed that, everything. What did you do it for? Madgata prana. The mind, the prana, the actions, the perceptions, the actions, all towards that one goal. Bodhayanta parasparam. Now you all know where this quote came from. Or the group discussion.
Before we had group discussion, we talked about this.
Bodhayanta parasparam. It said that you get 1/4 knowledge from the teacher, 1/4 knowledge from your co-students, 1/4 knowledge from what life teaches us, and 1/4 knowledge from the Lord. Don't know how. Either it will gel in you or not. Either you will reflect on it or not. So the teacher will give you 1/4. Your co-students will give you 1/4. Your life and circumstances give you 1/4. And 1/4 you either reflected and the whole thing gelled or it didn't. So bodhayanta parasparam means enlightening one another, teaching one another. That is the value of being with people who are also on this path. Not because this is where we make the mistake. We want to be spiritual people because we feel nice and comfortable. Not because we feel nice and comfortable, but because we can use it to stay on our path. Not because we are very comfortable with other spiritual. We are more like-minded. But you want to stay with like-minded people, or you will learn more by going and staying with non-like-minded people, maybe. Because they will argue and debate whatever you're saying. And that argument and debate might help you understand even more. You'll see the perspective, a different perspective. Maybe you'll learn more. Please go and argue with people. Not argue with them, but please go listen. to people who have a different perspective, especially if it's your husband or wife. And there was this famous, quote that came along on the WhatsApp University. It said, or somewhere I saw it, it said, do women ever sit back and think, my husband is so knowledgeable, maybe I should just keep quiet and listen to him. Just listen to what he has to say. Very, very rare any wife thinks my husband knows so much. My husband knows so much. Let me listen at least to what he is saying. No, I am spiritual. You are materialistic. You won't understand any of this. The moment you say that, it means you have not understood any of it. Talk to people who think differently. There is much to learn. About your own subject, not about what they have to say, but about your own subject. The best form of reflection. So, bodhayanta parasparam, enlightening one another. Okay, so we will continue next time. Oh, there's an announcement by Reshma. Okay, go ahead, Reshma.
Hari Om, everyone. In order to support Janki ji and to do our bit in helping to spread the knowledge of Vedanta across the world, please click on the link shared in the chat box, subscribe to the channel, and like all the posts under the community. The steps have been shared through the WhatsApp study group and also via email on 29 January. So please check. And I request you all to please consider this as a karma exercise. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Reshma. Except it is not to support Vedanta, it is to support the people of this world. People would benefit largely if they understood the knowledge of living. Vedanta will continue on its own happily without anyone knowing it or not knowing it. The truth will last. So, we should all do it. We're doing this for the people. Really, we must remember that. It's always for the people. So thank you, Reshma, for, it's very good. All of y'all are doing great work. Everyone takes up something, does something, largely without even my knowing things. So it's good that everyone is thinking, how can we spread this message and let more people benefit from it if they wish to. We are not pushing anything down anyone's throat. But if they wish to, at least let us give them the opportunity to sort of see what is, and hear it, see it.